Hello and welcome to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. This show is all about female authors. I'm definitely highlighting some amazing authors that are right here in the city of Houston. My guest today, Sonia Graham, is one of those amazing authors. Give her to Sonia. You know, when Sonia sent me her bio, it was so much stuff on the bio. I'm like, this is impossible for me to read, figure out, say. So I'm just going to let her tell you a little bit about herself and what it is that she's done and what she's doing currently.
Okay, basically my background is really as an entrepreneur. So I'm one of those people that, I have a vision or an idea or whatever, and that challenges me and makes me do the research or whatever it takes to get it done. And so that drives me, and as well as making a difference and helping people get things done. But as it pertains to this, the writing, I had no idea that I'd be doing this, or I'd be an author or a publisher. But I'm not one because I say I am, I'm because God says I am. So I was obedient, and not initially, because initially I tried to make this a website.
God said no.
He said no. It was amazing. It had all the bells and whistles like Facebook, but it just didn't do well. Didn't do well at all. But when I got in line with what he was calling me to do, then everything just lined up, and it's been amazing. Look at me, I'm sitting right here next to you today.
There you go, there you go. And that's one of the great things about obedience. There's always rewards when we're obedient, but we have to learn to be obedient so that we can reap the maximum benefit of that particular reward. Obviously, you've done that.
Absolutely.
And Sonia and I just had the chance to meet just recently at the National Book Festival just a few weeks ago, and I began to learn more about what she was doing, her book project and things of that nature. And I'm like, hey, I'm doing this show on female authors, and da-da-da-da-da, and one thing led to another, and she's sitting here with me today. Now, one of the things that you've done, you used to work at Compact Computers.
So actually Compact was a client, and so I'm one of those people where, like I mentioned, I was a member of, it was called the Houston Black Minority Council at that time. And what they do is they prepare an audience at George R. Brown where all the corporations come, and then the members get to sell to those businesses.
Okay.
And so at that time, they were looking for an online option for like a promotional products company where they can, their employees can purchase everything. Mm-hmm. And of course, I told them I could do that.
Okay.
Had I done it before? No.
Operating in faith, huh?
Right. But all in all, I became their first online national promotional products company for Compact Computer nationwide.
The first. All right. And that's how that came about. And it's interesting because I know you're a Christian woman, needless to say.
Absolutely.
And so often when we're taking on the different challenges of life or the things we want to do, we have to operate in faith because we don't see it there initially. So we just have to believe. And so what you just said a moment ago is interesting for you to say you had never done that before, but you said you could.
Absolutely.
And faith is, speaking those things into existence.
Absolutely.
And that's what you did. And that was the end result. You were the first to do it, which I think is incredible. You also was the first to get an endorsement for a martial arts Olympian, for Nike. Tell me a little bit about that as well.
That's all God, because there's not 800 Nike, so I'm an athlete. In the community, most people know me for marketing. And so the Taekwondo gym my kids belong to, the parents of the potential Olympian were at the gym and they were needing funds to go to the Olympics.
Okay.
And so somebody, Sandra, my friend Sandra, said, hey, she knows marketing, maybe she can help you out. I said, I don't know anything about this type of marketing,
right.
But I was open to listen. And so I met Nia Abdallah, and she was an amazing young woman, totally dedicated to the sport. Because to be an Olympian at that level, you have to be totally. She didn't have her driver's license until she was 21. I delivered them to her personally.
Wow.
But she told me, Miss Sonia, I said, well, what can I do for you? What do you want? She goes, oh, I've always worn Nike. And I'm like, okay, let's see what we can do.
Right.
But I just told her that I would do the best I could, and just with persistence and just making phone calls. And I just got to the right person. God be the glory, I'm sure. Because I don't think, and then I had to convince them, because she was like a stealth, a hopeful, you know. So I had to convince them that they said, well, can she win? I said, absolutely. So needless to say, she's the first martial artist to be signed to Nike for endorsement. And so I was able to get her, I think, 4 contracts.
Wow. That's awesome. So your life is filled with a lot of firsts.
Oh, yes.
And for us to have these firsts in our lives, we got to operate in faith. because it doesn't just fall into our laps.
Right.
You know, it starts here, and then from here we operate in faith and we believe.
Totally.
The next thing you know, it happens. So I guess it would be safe to call you a risk taker.
Yes. I would say so.
A risk taker and a woman walking by faith.
Okay. It's not blind risk though, because I know that whatever I see, where there's provision, vision is provision.
Mm-hmm.
And so if he gives me the courage to have to say this is a vision that I want, he's always provided the provision.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a blind of risk. I don't
Gotcha.
believe it.
Gotcha.
So they say blind faith, I say,
No.
I don't believe in blind faith.
You see it.
Yeah, you walk in it. When he
Uh-huh.
provides those paths, you just have to have the faith of a mustard seed to follow it. And so that's, I mean, it hasn't been this easy all of my life to do
Right.
that and understand that, but with age, you understand that you're just doing it the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
And like I talk in my book about this chapter of my life, I'm doing life in a trunk. I call it in the trunk kind of faith.
Uh-huh.
And what that basically means is I'm being honest to say I haven't been a model passenger.
Okay.
You know, so everybody says, Jesus, take the wheel, right?
Mhm.
But what happens for me is while he's driving, if I'm in the front, in the passenger seat, I have a tendency to say, no, I can't go there. No, turn the corner, go here.
Yeah.
We all do, right?
You're navigating it, huh?
Absolutely. So then after a while, we know our God is a God of free will, right?
Right.
And so after a while, he goes, well, if you know where you're going, I'm just going to pull over and let you on out. Right? But the blessing is about God is he's so faithful that he'll pull over every time and let you back in over and over and over again. So this chapter in my life, I'm in the trunk because what I'm saying is it doesn't matter what I feel while we go over those bumps while he's driving.
Right.
How scary it sounds, but when that trunk opens up, I have extreme faith that he's prepared everything for me
Mm-hmm.
and that I am capable and filled with everything I need to fulfill whatever it is that's in front of me.
Mm.
So that's why
And you know, you mentioned a moment ago about blind faith, and you don't believe in blind faith. And as I listen to that, you being in the trunk, you're not being in the passenger seat where you can see. That's operating with that blind faith
That's true.
in a different way.
That is true.
You know what I'm
That's
saying?
true. Absolutely.
And complete trust,
Absolutely.
completely
That is
trusting
true.
God
That's true.
with your vision and all that good stuff. Now, enough about that. I want to talk about the original blueprint. It's time to uncover your original blueprint. How did you come up with the concept, number one, and what was your motivation for doing the book?
Okay, so there was a period in my life where I felt like, you know, society says if you have the big house, the car, healthy children, and a spouse, you should be happy. But for some reason, something was missing. And so in that process, I began to talk to a lot of my friends and colleagues, and everybody seemed to be in the same place. And it just made me realize that I wasn't alone, but what really was this?
Yeah.
And so it's taken me 11 years to write this book.
Okay.
But in that 11-year process, what I understood is it's an epidemic that I've coined passive assimilation. And what that basically means is that you have passively assimilated to the dreams, aspiration, and purpose of others, knowing and unknowingly.
Okay.
That could be your children, it could be your spouse, it could be your parents, it could be anything. And what that means is when you have decisions you make in life, instead of you being wholeheartedly honest or taking the full person into that, you take a shell of that of yourself, and that's what they see.
Okay.
But the downside is through time, you as a person can become resentful because you feel like you've been taken for granted for those things that you passively positioned yourself to do.
Got you.
And ultimately, in this, the hardest part of this book was realizing that I allowed it.
Okay.
So that's where the passive comes in. It means that you willingly said, hey, this is what I want to do. Or you just did it. No one asked you to do that.
You just took that on.
Absolutely.
And next thing you know, you're feeling bad about it later on down the road because you could have made a different decision. I want to hear a little bit more about that when we come back in just a moment. You guys stick around. We'll be back in just a moment.
Tired of wasting time threading needles? What would you do with more time? Would you spend it with family? Grow your business? Take a class or travel? There's a remarkable new tool available to help make your dream for more time a reality. The Easy Needle Multi-Threader was designed for weavers, seamstresses, and quilters to thread multiple needles in a fraction of the time than traditional methods. It eliminates tangles and prevents the possibility of germs and bacteria due to fallen needles and threads onto the floor. It's efficient, it's innovative, it's a time saver. Increase your productivity with Easy Needle Multi-Threader today.
Sky Trues Custom Eyewear has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny's Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Golden Boy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames. Sky Trues!
All right, welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. My guest right now is none other than Sonia Graham. Welcome back to the show, Sonia. For those of you that are just catching up or whatever, Sonia is an author. She's the author of It's Time to Uncover Your Original Blueprint. We were just talking a little bit more about what that book is about. And I want you to go ahead and tell me a little bit more of what the book is about. It's also, I'm sorry, I'm just jumping the gun, but it's also like a workbook in a lot of ways. So it's a therapeutic thing for people to actually read and follow and answer questions so that they can help to understand what their original blueprint is. So I like that concept.
There's work to do.
Yeah.
So you could read it cover to cover, but if you really do the work in the book, then you can have results. Like I said, it took me 11 years to write it, and if you see my personal book, I still have tabs in it, because like anything that you do, you have to revisit it to make sure that you're reinforcing those things so you don't go backwards.
Gotcha.
So that's been a process, and like I said, this book totally ministered to me, so I truly know that I was a vessel.
Yes.
Because the things that were in there weren't in me without him, without God, if that makes sense. But one of the things that I'm working on right now is the workbook for the younger audience. And I say younger, anyone that hasn't, because in this book you have 10 steps to rediscover the real you and your purpose. Because this is taking you back, because you have to understand that when you were in your mother's womb, God had already created a full purpose of who you were that you need to fulfill. And so this is an even greater reason why we don't want you to go through that passive assimilation, because that's why the graveyard is full of purpose right now. Because people are living through other people and they're not fulfilling their own purpose based on their own gifts and their talents.
So true.
You know, so that's very important. And then a lot of people say, I have no idea what my purpose is.
Yeah.
But I can guarantee you it's tied to your gifts and your talents, because that's what he equipped you with. And so it's getting to know what those things are. And sometimes you've gotten so far past that because you're so focused on other people's lives. So back in the time when I was in this transitional period and realizing that I felt like I had disappeared, if you were to ask me, Sonia, if you can go anywhere in the world, where you want to go, if you could have anything, I didn't have answers for myself.
Okay.
But I had answers for my children, the spouse. I mean, we can go
Everybody
on and on and on, but I had no answer because I wasn't thinking on that level. My life was like in dormant, even though I felt I was living my life, but it was living, like people say, you're living vicariously to other people.
Right.
It's more than a notion. You truly can do that without even knowing you're doing that. So the other side to this is staying true to your original blueprint that I'm putting together. I've already done I'm starting pre-orders, but I'm hoping it should be done by March. But it's for the younger audience, so they don't have to go through this passive assimilation and disappear. So they can understand the reason that they were put on this earth initially and work to fulfill that without getting into that situation. When I first started doing the research for the book, I thought it was going to be for women.
Okay.
Because the majority of people I spoke to were women, but the more research I did, I realized it wasn't just me. What determines if you get into this passive assimilation state usually is a position you take in a relationship. So many of us don't take a full person into a relationship. And so, you hear the saying, 50-50 is a relationship. Well, if
Right.
you have 50-50, you have a void in the middle. That does not come together. 70-30, 60-40, and those, because one time another relationship, the other person's going to need to be that strong person to pull it together, to be that glue.
Absolutely.
And so that's where it works out. But it's very important to take a full person, which means whatever you did before that relationship, you should continue to do, whether it's skating, tennis, or whatever. You continue to do those things. Otherwise, that person...
You lose yourself.
Absolutely.
There you go.
And that person that you're getting with, they don't know that's a part of your life. And so later you feel like they're still doing the things that they want to do and
But you're not. Yeah. And that's because of the choice that you made.
Exactly. They have no idea that you even like to do those things. So it's very important to understand that 50-50 is not a whole relationship. 100% of a person and 100% of a person is a healthy relationship, because then you add to one another. You don't take away.
Right.
Because if you have 50-50, then you have a chance to become passive and assimilate. So either that person, you're looking for somebody to complete you, one, or you're going to end up assimilating to their thoughts or dreams and their aspirations.
Right.
So it's very important. So I want the young people to understand that.
Right. And my thing is that the earlier you start to understand it, the better your life will be.
Absolutely.
You hear that phrase these days, living your best life.
Yes.
And I think when you have that type of blueprint, so to speak, it'll help you to live your best life
Right.
at an earlier age and not start when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, or whatever. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I like the fact that you're talking about addressing the younger people
Absolutely. Absolutely.
with what you're doing. I'm so excited and proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I know you'll continue to do great things.
Absolutely. And because of this, I didn't know anything about doing a book. I did the research, and for that reason, as an entrepreneur, I started a publishing company as well. Right now, at this point in the juncture, I'm still doing the research and learning that. So because I'm not really in a position to take on people, because I believe in you should be 100% at your craft before you take on more people. But I am putting together workshops. Come write a book. Because a lot of the things I did when I was doing the research, they give you this long list of stuff and you leave still not knowing what to do, just confused. So it's going to be different modules where they can purchase it at their leisure and go, by the time they finish, whether it's a year, 2 years, a month, or whatever it takes based on their time, they'll have a complete book. So that's what I do want to give, because it's important. Everybody has something in them. Your experiences are not for us. And so, I sit before you not because this is not what I do, but because I know that there's something that God wants people to see. He wants people to experience and to get this, so that his dreams or his aspirations his purpose will be fulfilled.
Absolutely.
In us. So it's not about me.
And what you said a moment ago, a lot of us go, you talked about the graveyard. And so many of us go to the graveyard, we die with our dreams, our hopes, our visions, because we never work on them while we're yet living.
Right.
And at the end of life, I oftentimes say this: I don't want to go to the graveyard, so to speak, not having to at least try the things that I want to try, putting forth that effort to make some of those things come to pass. And the beautiful thing about it is that we all have the propensity to make it happen in our lives. We just have to operate in faith. We just have to do it. And we also have the resources. With today's technology, resources right at our fingertips. We have so many resources that we have not tapped into, that we need to tap into when we're looking to create and to move forward in whatever it is that we're doing. I wanted to make sure that the world got to hear everything you wanted them to hear in this interview. Are there any final words that you'd like to say to the listening audience or people that want to pursue their dreams and goals?
The thing you have to understand is, don't expect to know it all, because you won't. But you have what you need, because he will give you provision for whatever that is. But what you have to do is step on faith. He's waiting for you. So don't delay. Just whatever that is that he's been tugging at you, it's something. It's a reason, because there's something he wants you to fulfill that he's destined, and it won't go void. But why not you? You have what it takes. Just trust him, and then he'll take you the rest of the way. So to get my book, you can go to www.Sonya, it's spelled a little strange, SONYIA Graham, GRAHAM.com. And you can learn more about the original blueprint. But fruition means having the faith to me. F and F, to me, fruition means faith. The faith to believe that whatever he's put in you will come to pass. So trust him, and you will be successful.
Fantastic. Well, needless to say, you've done an outstanding job, just as I expected. And you guys stick around. We're going to be back with author Nikki Kelly in just a moment. Stick around. We'll be back in just a moment. There you go.
Women invest a lot of valuable time in their stylist chair, creating and maintaining a polished image. Having been in the beauty industry for over 35 years, I have witnessed this investment firsthand. I knew that this was not the kind of experience that I wanted to provide for my clients, so I created a better way. The Easy Needle Multi-Threader is designed to make the weave installation process faster and easier, all in 5 simple steps. All you have to do is secure the Easy Needle Multi-Threader to a surface, insert the cushions into the unit, slide the needles into the cushions, place your thread onto the dowel, and thread your needles with the Easy Needle Threader. Stylists who use this product will never have to thread another needle in between weaving again. With the Easy Needle Multi-Threader, they can save time, save money, increase their clientele, and provide a wonderful experience for their clients.
All right, welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. As I promised, my next guest, Nikki Kelly. Welcome to the show, Nikki. Yeah, like I said a moment ago, everybody on the show is like my friends, people I know, I'm that type of thing. So I feel like it's a big family reunion happening in the studio today. And Nikki is an educator who just recently wrote a book called Willow's Wonder. Now, we were talking a moment ago about Willow's Wonder and your motivation for doing it. And I loved it because what I saw here was something that's needed, especially in the schools and especially with our young children. Tell me a little bit more about Willow's Wonder and the reason why you created this book.
So I'm going to start with the reason why I created it. It was created because as an educator, you see a lot of fictional books that you can read to kids, but also being a pastor's daughter, you don't see a fictional book that has a Christian background to it. I think a lot of times when we minister to children at church, we do use the Bible, which of course is what we want to use to minister to kids, but sometimes we need to be a little bit more practical in our approach and letting kids hear stories that they hear at school every day, but there's a biblical background to it. So that was my main reason for doing it. Another reason is being an educator, you see a lot of females that are into reality shows even at a young age and not really knowing that reality really is not reality.
Right.
That they see this image of what the African American woman should be and not appreciating her differences in what God made her to be. That was also a driving force in writing this book. And the title of the book, Willow's Wonders, is if I have a daughter, her name is going to be Willow. So I wanted to write a book dedicated to girls who feel different, but you're really not different, you're God's gift. And you can appreciate your wide nose and your curly hair, appreciate you for who you are. And you don't have to go and say, I want to look like this person on television. Appreciate you for who you are.
Absolutely. And I really like that, and it couldn't help but make me think about my project, my latest project, The Skin I'm In. And it's all about self-acceptance with whatever skin it is that God has created you to walk this earth in. And when you talk about little girls accepting their beauty, accepting their wide nose, their full lips, the things that make them unique, the things that make them black in a lot of ways. That's who we are. And back in the day, you say black and I'm proud. And it seemed like that kind of diminished a little bit. I think we need to get back to that place where we're black and where we're proud of what God created us to be.
I think that society has made it to where we're more commercialized at this point. You look at the commercials, you look at the TV shows, and you see this image of a black woman that doesn't really look like a black woman. She doesn't necessarily embrace the kinkiness of her hair. She wants to have that straight, bone straight hair. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, but I think that a lot of times that you can get caught up into that and forget who you are as a person. And you know, well, why are my lips fuller than her lips, or why is my nose wider than her nose, or why is my skin darker than hers? I think that if we teach children, especially our black children, to be comfortable with who they are, then they'll be more appreciative and we'll be able to express ourselves more.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they walk out into the world with a new confidence, or with a confidence that will make a difference. And when you have that kind of confidence, especially as a kid, especially as a young girl, nobody can destroy you when you have that confidence. But that's what it's all about. So much starts at home. As a matter of fact, it all starts at home. How we rear the children, what we allow them to see, and what we build their self-esteem on. And it makes all the difference when they go out into the world.
It does.
Even when it comes to bullies, you know, again, a lot of stuff starts at home. You know, she might have seen mama bullying daddy, or daddy bullying mama, or a fight going on. You just don't know what takes place in the home. But oftentimes when the children go out into the world and they act and or interact with people, it's simply based on what they've experienced in their immediate environment. And it's so important that we pay attention to that as adult folk. Pay attention to that. You know, one of the things that I noticed about the book, which I thought was really cute, as I began to flip the pages and read some of the information here, you made sure that we identified this as this little black girl. You see the hair, you see the color, and I think that's so important because this helps little girls that look like this to receive and accept what God created them to be as well. Now tell me a little bit more about the body of this book.
So, as an educator, you see a lot of families moving to the suburbs instead of living in what we call the hood. They move to the suburbs because they want a better life for their children. And a lot of times, if, like you said, if you're not telling your daughter at home, you're beautiful, God made you to look this way, going to those suburban schools, they see a lot of people that don't look like them. So they see people that look different and they feel out of place, they feel left out. And this little girl the story is about her family moving to the suburbs and her leaving behind her friends and her old elementary school and going into this suburban school and feeling that first day like, I don't belong here. I look different from those others that are here. Even those that have the same skin color as me, I look different from them. And she went home and was very discouraged, and Mom saw that she was really discouraged, and Mom pointed out to her those things that God had blessed her with. Her wide nose, her full lips, her fluffy hair. And that next day when she wakes up that morning, she feels a lot better about getting on that school bus, and she just so happens to find and meet a friend who looks just like her with that same fluffy hair. So she doesn't feel as I'm going to this school and I don't really have anyone to talk to. She now has a friend that she can talk to.
And you know, that's the beautiful thing about life. When you're able to find people that you can identify with, we always want to feel like there's somebody else that can relate to us in some form or fashion, especially when we feel we have a unique difference, whatever that unique difference is. Now, when we talk about a Christian-based book and school and this, that, and the other, I think it's so important because that's one of the things that's missing from our schools today. So when you told me this was a Christian-based book and it was the Christianity was tied into it, I thought that was awesome. And it seems like since Christianity God has moved out of the school, the schools are going crazy. Every time you turn around, there's a shooting. Somebody else done got shot here. Somebody else done got shot there. These types of things. And schools are designed for our kids to go to, for a healthy place to be, and get the education that they're supposed to get, not to go in fear. And I think when we're able to do things like this begins to open the door for more things like this to be done. And for I would like to see something like this too, Nikki, in the school system. I would love to see this in the school system, in the libraries, where the librarians or people can come in and read these types of books to those kids, to those little girls. It's important that we affirm our little black girls. It's very important that we affirm our little black girls. And this book is a big part of that affirmation. So that's one of the things that I would like to see. I'm just saying what I want to see. What I would like to see. That happen in some of the schools. And the good thing is that you're a part of the school system. You can pay me later for that one then. But I think that could be really good if it's implemented into some of the schools, and actually could move some of the books as well, with people coming in to read and affirm these little girls. Because I tell you what, in my industry, I've seen little girls whose self-esteem has suffered because they're just little cute little black girls, but the world has influenced them to be something other than what they are, or to be different. But self-acceptance and affirmation in the home is key. We're going to be back with a little bit more of Nikki Kelly. You guys stick around. We'll be back in just a moment.
Sky Trues Custom Eyewear has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Golden Boy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames. Sky Trues!
Tired of wasting time threading needles? What would you do with more time? Would you spend it with family, grow your business, take a class, or travel? There's a remarkable new tool available to help make your dream for more time a reality. The Easy Needle Multi-Threader was designed for weavers, seamstresses, and quilters to thread multiple needles in a fraction of the time than traditional methods. It eliminates tangles and prevents the possibility of germs and bacteria due to fallen needles and threads onto the floor. It's efficient, it's innovative, it's a time saver. Increase your productivity with Easy Needle Multi-Threader today.
All right, welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show with my guest, none other than Nikki Kelly. Welcome back, Nikki. So we left off talking about this amazing book and the goal. I'm creating the goal of it being in the school system so that we can affirm all these beautiful little girls. And you know, the thing about it is, man, I've seen it. These little girls, some of them want to kill themselves because they don't look like counterparts, and some of them actually do. You know, and it's all based on how they look. But that's also affected by commercialism, like you mentioned earlier, and how we make them feel. It really is. And I think when we're able to implement more things like Willow's Wonder and showcasing beautiful little African-American girls, it helps to affirm them when they go out into the world. And when they go out into the world to make a difference. And that's what's important. And not to talk about the book, The Skin I'm In, but again, it was all about acceptance. And accepting whatever that is or was for you, whatever that condition is and or was. So that's very, very important. And I think if we're able to instill these values and instill certain principles and affirmations in these little girls, it's going to make a huge difference in the world. When Lupita Nyong'o became the face of black women, being a very dark African-American woman in the film, she became famous. And people were accepting or became more accepting of a beautiful black woman because of what they got to see. And that's why I say it's important that we continue to see these types of people and characters and especially in our community pushed out there so that the world can see them and understand that we are beautiful people. And people pay to look like us. Let's keep it real.
That's right.
Yeah, they paying for lips, they paying for booties, they paying for a whole lot of things. You know, and y'all got them for free. You know, you know, they're going to the tanning booth and all this and laying in the sun, and we got that. We got that. So a lot of times we have to understand what we already have and accept it, and that's when we're empowered.
But that's for everybody.
That's for
not
everybody.
just for African Americans. That's for all cultures, all races. Because being a school counselor, I come in contact with girls who are not African American that are not comfortable with who they are, not comfortable with what they look like. Because, like you said, they're trying to look like us, and some of us are trying to look like them. But if everybody was comfortable with what God blessed you to look like,
Right.
then it'd be a better place. It'd be a much better place.
It would certainly be a better place. And the thing that causes it not to be is the commercialism of it all, or the conditioning that we've had over the years as African American people to believe that lighter was better than darker. You know, but if God created, who the heck are we to say what's better and what's worse?
That's right.
If we're gonna be real about it, come on now, that's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. But it's been perpetuated in our culture forever, to our detriment. To our detriment. I want to just, from the counseling perspective and dealing with kids, what's been one of the worst things that you've seen that little girls have to deal with that you've had to try and turn around and make a difference with?
Being on a middle school level, what I see a lot of bullying. I see a lot of petty drama amongst girls. He say, she say. It's just a lot of unnecessary stuff. Well, she doesn't like me, and she looked at me this way, and it's things that could totally be avoided. She said she didn't like my hair. She said she didn't like what I had on, and like you said, if it starts at home with the parent saying, you're beautiful, you look great in what you have on, and then as a counselor having to instill those same things in that student in my office to say,
Right.
You are beautiful. And yes, we're all different. There are a lot of things that we all don't like about ourselves, but we accept that we're not perfect. No one's perfect but God. But we're perfect in His sight because He created us. He made us. But just it's a lot of appearance issues that you deal with, that somebody didn't like my hair, or somebody, they said I was too dark or my nose was too big. You'd be surprised at what you hear girls say.
Really?
Yes. And I'm being bullied because of this. So,
Yeah.
yes.
Wow. And again, it goes back to home. And it's really sad that these kids have to grow up feeling less than. And so many of them do feel less than. That's why you see the suicide rate being what it is with young people, based on how they feel. So much is based on feelings and emotions and things of that nature. Thank you for creating this book.
Thank you for having me on your show.
Absolutely. I wouldn't have it any other way. Now, how do people find out a little bit more about Willow's Wonder and how they can pick that out?
So my book is available on Amazon. You can purchase my book on Amazon. I do have a website that will be coming available this Friday. That website is www.nikkijoneskelly.com. And this is a message to all the pastors out there. I will be coming to your churches to promote my book, so I want to let you know that I will be doing that, and also in the schools as well, being able to go and do read-ins at those schools and being able to sell my book there. But if you are ready to purchase it now, that's wonderful, that's great. You can go to Amazon.com to do that.
Amazon.com, and they would look for the title Willow's Wonder. Is that right?
Yes.
And then you guys can actually get your copy offline on
Yes.
Amazon.com. Nikki Kelly, thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the Ferrell
Thank you
Phelps
so
Show.
much.
It has truly been a pleasure. You guys stick around. We're going to be back next with my final guest, Valerie Reed. We'll be back in just a moment.
Women invest a lot of valuable time in their stylist chair, creating and maintaining a polished image. Having been in the beauty industry for over 35 years, I have witnessed this investment firsthand. I knew that this was not the kind of experience that I wanted to provide for my clients, so I created a better way. The Easy Needle Multi-Threader is designed to make the weave installation process faster and easier, all in 5 simple steps. All you have to do is secure the Easy Needle Multi-Threader to a surface, insert the cushions into the unit, slide the needles into the cushions, place your thread onto the dowel, and thread your needles with the Easy Needle Threader. Stylists who use this product will never have to thread another needle in between weaving again. With the Easy Needle Multi-Threader, they can save time, save money, increase their clientele, and provide a wonderful experience for their clients.
Sky Trues Custom Eyewear has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny's Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Golden Boy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames. Sky Trues!
All right, welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. As I spoke to you guys before and told you about my next and final guest, Valerie Reed. Welcome to the show, Valerie.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, Valerie and I go way back. You know, I've been knowing her for a long time, and she married the son of some wonderful friends of mine. They're like my second family, the Reeds. And she has written this book called Stay Strong, Finish Strong. And I wanted you to be the final guest on the show today.
Okay.
As I told you when we spoke. And I know the motivation for writing the book, but I want you to share your motivation for writing the book with the listening audience.
Sure. Well, my motivation for writing the book was basically because in the year of 2011, 2012, my brother passed away, which is my only sibling. My mother passed away that January, and then my husband passed away that October. And I did not know anyone else who had experienced anything like that. So for me, I was looking for, okay, who can I share my story with? Because I know that there are other people out there that have experienced it, but I just didn't have anyone that I knew personally that experienced it or that I could read about or talk about or whatever. So for me, I prayed to God and I was just like, okay, God, what do you want me to do with all this? Because it's a lot. And so I'm like, okay, I just heard him say, okay, encourage others. Encourage others with your writing.
Right.
So that's where it all came from.
And that's where it all came from.
Yes.
And you know, we go through different things for different reasons.
Yes.
Of course, it's always for ourselves, but it's also designed oftentimes to make a difference in the lives of others, what we've experienced as well. And now I know a lot about the story. And I know that, you know, when you think about loss, you think about losses. I myself have experienced losses consecutively, as many of you guys know. And then just trying to figure out, man, how do you navigate through loss? How do you navigate when it's back to back to back to back? And for you, it was even closer because it was your brother, your mother, and then Chris, your husband, whom I'd known forever through the Reed family. And that was kind of unexpected.
Very unexpected. Very unexpected. How do I navigate through it? Oh, man, I don't really think I thought too much about it because I didn't really have time to think about it. When my brother passed away, I did not have time to properly grieve because I felt like I had to take care of my mom. Mm-hmm. And at that time, she was battling pancreatic cancer. So my whole purpose was to make sure that she was okay.
Right.
So I couldn't really take care of myself the way I needed to, but I just did what I had to do. And then after my mom passed away, well, I felt like, okay, I have Chris to lean on. Mm-hmm. I have my kids, I have Chris to lean on. I still have something. But then when Chris died, it was just like, okay, wow. You know, what do you do? So I really had to really just pray a lot and think about, okay, what is all this happening for? There's a purpose behind it. And I had to really dig deep and say, okay, I'm not going to. I don't want to be that person that's depressed and taking medication. I had to really think hard. How can I handle this? How can I handle it in a way where I can encourage others who will go down the same path that I've gone down?
Exactly. I think you're doing a pretty good job.
Well, thank you.
I think you're doing a pretty good job. And just to have the wherewithal to make a decision to write a book, to bless somebody else because of what she experienced, to help them cope with and deal with, that is not an easy thing. And not only was she a wife and mother, but she's a mother of 3. And the ages are?
Ryan is 16, Kayla is 15, and Micah is 10. And at the time when my husband passed away, Micah was 3. So he really does not have a good recall on his dad.
Okay.
He remembers, I show him pictures, we talk a lot about different things, but he didn't have the pleasure of being around Chris and knowing Chris like Ryan and Kayla did.
Right. And Chris had a great personality,
Yes.
funny, you know what I mean, all that,
Yes.
very loving, you know what I mean. And all the Reed children were those children. They were all that same kind of way. And you know, and one of the things that I know for sure is that over the years, Miss Reed made sure that you guys took family pictures, because I took the family pictures. And so we had a lot of great images of the family over the years.
That's right.
Actually, and it's so important for people to get those family pictures. And nobody thinks about it until something happens.
Absolutely.
And then you wish, oh, I wish I would have this. Oh, I wish I would have that.
Right.
And you know, and it's too late.
That's right.
But you guys, Miss Reed definitely stayed on top of that. She was, and if she wasn't, then Mr. Reed was.
That's right.
You know, he would call me, hey Ferrell, we got to get the pictures on. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And so not only we talk about your brother, and we talked about you losing your mom, and then losing your husband, and then Mr. Reed, your father-in-law,
Right.
who I knew very well,
Right.
also passed away.
Right.
And I didn't find that out until long after.
Right.
And I was in total shock when I found out that Mr. Reed had passed. But you have really dealt with a lot, and so has the Reed family, but you're still doing exactly what you say right here. Stay strong and finish strong.
That's right.
And we're going to continue to talk about stay strong and finish strong in just a moment. So you guys stick around. We'll be back in just a moment.
Sky Trues Custom Eyewear has taken the world by storm. In only 8 months, Sky Trues has gained the eyes of many, including celebs like Big Sean, Little Flip, Destiny Child, Soulja Boy, just to name a few. Through custom design, Sky Trues can put your imagination on your frames. I bring to you the next big thing in Houston, Sky Trues, created by Golden Boy, the musician, the artist, the entrepreneur, and grassroots marketing genius. Be inspired. Sky Trues, custom designed frames. Sky Trues!
Tired of wasting time threading needles? What would you do with more time? Would you spend it with family, grow your business, take a class, or travel? There's a remarkable new tool available to help make your dream for more time a reality. The Easy Needle Multi-Threader was designed for weavers, seamstresses, and quilters to thread multiple needles in a fraction of the time than traditional methods. It eliminates tangles and prevents the possibility of germs and bacteria due to fallen needles and threads onto the floor. It's efficient, it's innovative, it's a time saver. Increase your productivity with Easy Needle Multi-Threader today.
All right, welcome back to this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show with my guest, Valerie Reed. Welcome back, Valerie.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
You know, we left off talking about your experience, and one of the things that I really wanted to know is how have you learned to cope with everything that's happened, as well as what advice would you give to someone else who've had the same experience that you've had and suffered loss as you?
Okay. I would say one of the ways that I cope is I've learned to receive support. That was hard for me.
Okay.
Because I was always a very independent person. I could do it, I can get it done. But when you get to the point where you have to rely on others, I think it's okay to receive support, and I talk about that in my book. There was an example of when Chris was in the hospital. There was a lady from my church, Miss Lisa, who has since now passed away, and she was really persistent with, okay, I'm going to help you. What do you need me to do? I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to buy some stuff for your kids for lunch. And I had the hardest time accepting that.
Yeah.
Because I was like, well, no, I'll get it done. I'll do it. And I think the big thing is receiving help. You can't do it all. Mm-hmm. And just, I would give that advice to other people. Look, when people want to help you, let them help you.
Right.
And then on the other end of that, there are some times when people want to help you or they want to talk to you, but they just don't know what to say.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, the person doesn't need you to say anything. They just need to be in the room. Mm. And I think that's where a lot of times people will distance themselves from you because they're afraid. They don't know what to say.
Yeah.
So I would advise people, go around that person, but it might not be that you need to talk. It might just be you see where there's a need in their household. Just do it.
Right.
Don't ask them because they're going to say no. Because they're like me. You're going to say no, everything's fine, you don't need anything. And you have a laundry list of things that you know you need. But because of who you are, you're going to say no. You don't want to impose on people.
So you think it's important for people to just do?
Just do.
Just do. Do what it is that you think about and
Absolutely.
Be supportive. And so when it comes to your coping mechanism, how, as far as coping, how have you learned to cope through the process of everything?
I've learned to, when I want to be around people, I go around people. Mm-hmm. There are times, especially with the holidays coming up, a lot of people feel pressured to be around people. And I've learned that we have to be okay with if that person doesn't want to come because they are feeling some type of way or they are feeling sad or down. It might be that they just need to experience that time by themselves, not to the point where you want them to be depressed. But sometimes you just need to be by yourself, or you need to be with your immediate family at home. Right. A lot of people will ask me, what are you doing? I'm like, well, me and the kids are going to be at home. and I'm okay with that because if we want to eat, we'll eat. If we want to watch TV, we will. If we want to lay around in pajamas, we will. Because that's what we're comfortable. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times people take it as, oh, well, you're being standoffish. And I don't think that. I think that we need to kind of look at that differently as a society. It's not that people don't want to be around. It's just sometimes they just have to pull back. Okay. And it's okay.
And I guess a part of the pulling back process, in the pulling back process, you're probably being strengthened right. in that process right. Along the way. I want to ask you too, how did you handle, when it came to the kids, mm-hmm. how did you handle sharing the information with the kids, and how are the kids doing today?
The kids are doing okay today. The two older ones, they're further along with the process. My youngest son, Micah, he's a little more, you can tell he doesn't understand a lot. Okay. And so I'm still talking to him a lot, showing him pictures, doing a lot of different things with him that I didn't have to do for the older two. Okay. But as far as talking to them, each death was different. Mm-hmm. So I kind of, depending on how it happened, like when my brother died, it was like unexpectedly all of a sudden. One minute we're at the hospital, the next minute we're coming home. Where's Uncle Bob? He's gone. Okay. So we kind of had to talk about that in a different way than we talked about my mom. My mom was actually at my house, and when she passed away because she was sick. Okay. And so they were able to say goodbye to her, but they didn't realize that she was actually gone when they said goodbye. So each time was a little differently. Mm-hmm. Now with Chris, that was the big one because he didn't want them to see him in the condition that he was in. So the last time they saw him was at home. Everything was okay. Everything was fine. Okay. So it was a little different with each one. Yeah. So I kind of had to take a different approach with each death.
Right. And you know that's the thing about death too, because everybody handles death differently. Yes. And particular deaths we handle differently. Right. There's death of friends. There's death of spouses. There's death of children. And all of that, and it's all just as painful, but it's painful in different ways. It is. When you think about it, as it relates, especially with the kids. Yes. Because you're going to have graduation, right. You're going to have birthdays, right. All of these memorable moments right. that they may not have dad right. or granddad. But this is the blessing of it all. The memories that we have. Yes. The things that were instilled when that person was living. the things that were said, the things that were done,
Right.
the hugs that were given, the conversations that were had. That's what we have at the end of the day when it's all said and done.
That's right.
As well as video and things of that nature,
Right.
so that the kids can know who Daddy really was,
Absolutely.
and things of that nature as
Absolutely.
well. And one thing I know about your family, and especially the Reed family, they're a very tight, close-knit family. That's all I've ever known. Was a tight clique, and I always felt like I was like a son myself to the Reeds. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, they're just an incredible family. I want to ask you to give us information on how people will find out about Stay Strong and Finish Strong, so that others that may be going through exactly what you're going through can be helped.
Sure. It is available on Amazon. It's been on Amazon since February of this year. So it is available on Amazon. I do take personal orders through my Facebook page, which is Strong to the Finish Motivational Speaking. And I do have an Instagram page as well, which is Strong to the. And so if they want a personalized copy, I prefer to sign the copies because I like to add a personal touch to it. I would prefer that they go through my Facebook page or through my Instagram page and just let me know, and then we'll coordinate it or whatever. But if they want to go through Amazon, that's fine as well.
Okay, so those are ways you guys can certainly acquire the book, Stay Strong, Finish Strong, by Valerie Reed. Thank you so much for joining me on
Thank
this
you for
edition of the
having
Ferrell
me.
Phelps Show.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you guys out there for joining us on this edition of the Ferrell Phelps Show. And certainly for more information on me, you can just send me an email at letstalkaboutit12tv@gmail.com. That's letstalkaboutit12tv@gmail.com. You can also go to my Facebook page as well as YouTube. Simply type in the name Ferrell Phelps, and a list of my shows are right there for your viewing pleasure. Until next time, folks, we'll see you then.